Okay, what I'm going to talk about now is again the theme of Macbeth. I want to make sure that you understand how the various elements of Macbeth all come together, tying into that theme of fair is foul, foul is fair. Now, first, again, understanding what we're meaning there are multiple meanings of fair is foul, foul is fair. Good is bad, bad is good, that every person is capable of being either one, and it simply becomes decisions that determines whether or not that person is foul, bad, or fair, good. Now, at the beginning of Macbeth, we are introduced to Macbeth again through the three witches. That immediately gives a sense of something evil, something dastardly, something wrong, because three instruments of darkness are discussing Macbeth. And yet, when we next hear about Macbeth, it is about his glory in war. It is Ross, it is the sergeant, all telling King Duncan about how Macbeth is the one, along with his friend Banquo, that they are the ones who were able to save Scotland in their war against Norway. Of course, one of the first instances of fair is foul, foul is fair. The original Thane of Cawdor. He is determined to be a traitor. The Thane of Cawdor is supposed to be, King Duncan says, this is a man I trusted. And yet it turns out he was helping the King of Norway. So again, he was thought to be fair, good, discovered to be foul, bad. So Macbeth is given that title unbeknownst to him. So of course that sets up the irony of the audience knowing that Macbeth has already been named Thane of Cawdor when the witches call him Thane of Cawdor, in addition to his current title, Thane of Glamis, and then the big one, when they say Macbeth, hereafter to be called a king. Now, here's what we see out of Macbeth. Fair is foul. Macbeth is a war hero coming back from war. He seems to be a really good guy. As far as we know, he has never thought about being king, but the moment the witches say it, he begins to think about it. He has several asides there in the play, those moments where he is talking directly to the audience and the other characters cannot hear him. And he's talking about, wow, I never thought about this. This would be something major. I wonder if it's possible. But then he reverts back and says, well, you know what? I didn't have to do anything to be Thane of Cawdor. It just happened. So I shouldn't have to do anything to be king. If I'm going to be king, then it's going to happen without me having to take some steps, which he already knows would be something that would be wrong. And so we move from that scene to Lady Macbeth. A female character is supposed to act a certain way. She should not be conniving, thinking about murder, putting her husband up to murder because she herself is ambitious. But that is exactly what Lady Macbeth exhibits from the very beginning. So what we would see out of her is, on the outside, she is Lady Macbeth. She is the gracious hostess when King Duncan is there. She does all the right things, but underneath, she is conniving to the point that even when Macbeth says that he is not interested in doing anything to make himself king, anything to kill King Duncan, Lady Macbeth is more than willing to do almost anything. So roles have been reversed. Fair is foul, foul is fair. She's told that King Duncan is coming there to spend the night, and so she begins hatching a plan. And eventually, before the act is over in Act Two, then she has committed herself to the plan, and she's gotten Macbeth to agree to the plan. That's actually end of Act One. But then in Act Two, Macbeth once again says, "No, I'm not going to do it. I'm not interested in doing anything. King Duncan has been a great king to me. He's given me titles. He's given me land. I've been loyal to him. I'm not interested." So we have the role of the warrior, Macbeth, being good. He is being good like he should be. He is being fair. Lady Macbeth, on the other hand, says to him, what, are you not a man? Are you going to live out your life and later on you're going to regret the things that you could have done but that you chose not to do? And so eventually, in these reversed roles, Lady Macbeth is now foul, Macbeth is now fair. In these reverse roles, she is able to convince him that it needs to be done, but then she finally says, fine, if you won't do it, I will go and do it myself. And she makes her famous speech about unsex me, where she says, take away her womanly qualities so that she's able to do something she's not supposed to be able to do. In other words, take my fair self and make me foul. She goes in to kill King Duncan, takes a look at him, says he looks too much like her father, and she can't do it. She reverts back to fair. Macbeth, now amazingly, who had said that he wasn't going to have any part in it, that he refused to do it now, goes in and kills King Duncan. But even though he is a warrior, he's a soldier, he just came from war, amazingly, when he does it, he panics. He kills King Duncan, but then panics at the sight of what he's done and runs out, leaving the bloody daggers in the room. So now Lady Macbeth, who said when she looked at King Duncan that he looked too much like her father for her to be able to commit the murders, she turns around and goes in to retrieve the daggers. Now, one thing that I did leave out, Macbeth, when he killed King Duncan, looks at the two guards who are drunk. They're not going to, in fact, they're drugged. They're not going to wake up, but he starts, this is the first time he sees things that aren't really there. He thinks he sees them waking up and that they're going to identify him, so he kills the two of them in a panic as well, then leaves the daggers and runs out of the room. That's why Lady Macbeth has to now revert to the foul character. She goes in to retrieve the daggers, and in doing so gets blood on her hands, and that's going to be the symbol of her guilt later on, and that recurring motif of blood that she can't get rid of the blood. So she comes back now, lets Macbeth know, look, it's done. Let's put these things out of your mind. But Macbeth is already saying, I'm never going to be able to sleep comfortably again. So from a role perspective, Lady Macbeth is now the strong one. She is the one who is really foul, who thought of the murder and wanted to make sure that it was carried out properly. Macbeth, even though he actually committed the murder, is now fair. He is saying that my conscience is going to bother me. I'm never going to be okay. But then we open up into the next act, and Macbeth has suddenly become kingly. The same Macbeth who said he could not go back in the room, he couldn't see it again, wanted to have no further part of it, that when the murders are discovered, he immediately takes action. He jumps into action. He's directing things. He explains that, yes, I found him. I killed the guards. This is why I did it. He allows suspicion to go to Malcolm and Donalbain, the two sons, who, of course, Malcolm says, look, whoever killed our father is probably going to kill us. We need to go. They are good. But by fleeing, they give the impression that they are guilty. So in other words, although they are fair, they give the impression that they are now foul. And they run away. That plays into the plot. Macbeth now becomes king, but at least one person, Macduff, is kind of suspicious of how this whole thing happened. So when the others say they are going to go to his coronation, to Macbeth's coronation as king, Macduff says, no, I don't think so, because he is already suspicious of things. As we move into the next act of the play, we see Macbeth's gradual descent into being a tyrant. The same guy who said, I'm loyal to Duncan and I just can't do it, I can't kill him, but eventually does kill him, now assumes the role of king with fury. He is king, he is determined to stay king, he becomes gradually suspicious of everyone, to the point of he decides that, you know what, I remember back those witches said that Banquo's sons would be king, even though Banquo wasn't going to be king. So you know what? I'm going to go and kill Banquo and his son Fleance. I'm going to get these thugs to go do it because I just want to be sure, even though Banquo was his friend. And so the thugs do succeed in murdering Banquo, but Fleance, the son, gets away. Obviously, Shakespeare is setting that up, that the prophecies always come true. So that means that later on, Fleance will one day come back to be king, or he's going to be king somewhere because Macbeth's thugs were unable to kill him. In the meantime, Macbeth is in a banquet, and that's when he begins seeing ghosts, seeing things that are not there. He sees the ghost of Banquo, and he basically starts freaking out about it because he's wondering what Banquo is doing there. He's the only person, of course, at the room that knows that Banquo was supposed to be killed. Now we get role reversal again. Macbeth is kind of a blabbering idiot. He's doing things that all the guests are wondering what's wrong with him. Lady Macbeth assumes the strong role again. She begins to explain away what is wrong with Macbeth. Okay, so we see again role reversals. Fair is foul, foul is fair. It depends. At various times, these characters are flipping back and forth. Eventually, Macbeth goes away, but he begins to withdraw further and further away from Lady Macbeth, the one who was his closest confidant. Back in Act 1, he told her everything. Now he begins pushing her away because he knows how he got to the throne, and he gets to the point where he can't trust anyone, even his wife, the only person who knows what he has done. We begin moving forward even further. Macbeth becomes so desperate for the throne that he goes to the three witches. The first time he encountered the witches by accident, this time he finds the witches and demands that they tell him his future. And of course, they tell him three things. They tell him, number one, that you don't have to worry about anything happening to you until Birnam Wood walks up the hill to your castle, Dunsinane. So Macbeth is like, well, that's silly. I know that's not going to happen. Okay, they also tell him that he can't, the most important one is that they tell him that you cannot be harmed except by a man who has not been born a woman. Okay, so Macbeth looks at these things and he goes, that's not going to happen either. But he says, just to be sure, I was thinking about killing off Macduff and his family. I think I'll do it anyway. I'm going to go kill Macduff. That's important because he sends the thugs who kill Macduff's wife and his child, which of course gives Macduff a reason to come back and be ready to kill Macbeth. Macduff now has a motivation. It's not just that he's being loyal to the throne. He comes back. He's going to come back because you have killed my family. All right, so now that takes us all the way up through all of these killings. The other thing that happens, of course, is that as we move on into, and we're getting into Act 5, Lady Macbeth, finally, it is too much for her. The Lady Macbeth who was strong, who was willing to commit murder, all of these things, that Lady Macbeth begins to go insane. She begins to go mad because of the guilt. And eventually, she is going to commit suicide. And it's a poignant moment in that Macbeth is told that his wife has committed suicide. And he says, well, if she had waited another day, I might have been able to mourn her properly. But right now, I have bigger things on my mind. And of course, we'll find out what those bigger things are. Okay, so that is going to get us through, really through Act 4 of Macbeth, where Macbeth has become such a tyrant that he is killing off other people in order to preserve his throne. And then we'll see how that all begins to play out in Act 5. What you will do today in class, of course, after this, is that you'll continue listening to Macbeth. You're going to listen to it, not watch it. You're going to continue listening to it and reading along with it so that we make sure that we get the gist of the story. And time permitting, we will try to watch the rest of it, the movie version, before you actually have the test on Friday.